Today we're talking about the largest organ of the body, the skin, as we go into the integumentary system. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. As we've been going through the body systems, we finally have arrived at the skin or integumentary system. And we're going to take first of all, let's talk a brief overview about the skin, sort of talk anatomy and physiology. And then we're going to put our wellness strategy toward this, okay? And then we can do this for every single body system. So in other words, our wellness strategy is stop poisoning ourselves, flood the body with nutrients, and manage our stress. Well, we can say those three phrases as they pertain to the skin. Stop poisoning the skin, flood the skin with nutrients, and manage stress with regard to the skin. Now that's both stress on the skin itself as an organ, and then that would be stress like psychological, emotional stress. Okay, so we'll talk throughout the month. We're going to hopefully talk about all of those things and probably more. So basically, just look at an overview. Like I said, as an organ, okay, it has a function, and the skin mainly protects the body. It has a layer of oil over the surface of dead skin. So there's a whole layer of dead skin on the surface, and there's oil. It's an oily layer on top of that. So it kind of gives us it protects us from water loss. It keeps the heat in. We have a layer of fat right underneath the skin, and there's a lot of circulation, a lot of lymph flow. We'll talk more about all that. There are hairs, hair follicles and hairs on the skin, lots of nerve endings in the skin. So this is just, basic anatomy. There's a lot of nerve endings. We've got, heat and cold, hot and cold temperature sensors. We've got pressure sensors. We've got pain sensors. So there's, a lot going on in the skin. And then there's connective tissue, right? We've heard of collagen or hyaluronic acid and things like that. And obviously the connective tissue, which is the material in the body that is, our tendons and ligaments are all specialized forms of connective tissue. Well, connective tissue, really forms the shape of the body, of the tissue itself, and it's what holds its shape. So I'm not trying to be gross, but if you've ever, skinned chicken, skinned an animal, and you're peeling that skin off, the skin has a structure. It's rubbery and it bends and it stretches. Well, those are all these connective tissue fibers, protein fibers, collagen and fibrin. There's short fibers and long fibers, more elastic fibers. I forgot all the names of them, so eventually maybe I'll read that up and give that to you. But basically, stretchy fibers, elastic fibers, more firm fibers. But all these fibers are all put in there as part of the structural part. So the skin has these various layers, and basically, as the cells divide, they push out, and the surface cells die and get keratinized, which is a form of protein. Keratin is a protein. These cell bodies, these cells get keratinized, full of protein, and then that's that harder dead skin on the surface. Okay, and this so that's the basic. We're talking about protection, and that's fundamentally what the skin does. Obviously, we have all kinds of different areas where we have specialized skin. The lips, have specialized skin. Of course, this is where the outside skin turns into the inside skin. We've talked about this with the digestive system. The surface of the digestive system is really just specialized skin. If we just, go along here and we roll inward and then we go down inside, we would be following the whole tube all the way down the digestive tube out the anus. And so, all of that on the inside is still somewhat skin. For the discussion here, we're going to stick to what the surface of the skin that, kind of is on the outside. So we have, like I said, it's certain areas, around the eyes, the eyelids and all that, very specialized type of skin. And then you notice that on the hands, you get very specialized type of skin, the nails. And then we got more hair up here, some more than others. Some areas where we sweat more than others. So obviously within this whole context of an organ, it's a very large organ, but even within that, there's lots of little specialized functions that it does. So it's, when we kind of use the word skin, we're going to use it very broadly with an understanding that, we might have some special discussions on certain things. Okay, so in the role of protecting, let me see what I was going to talk about for my overview. Okay, so the other thing is we've got this wellness strategy. Everybody's going to apply this whole thing of stop poisoning ourselves, okay? And as you know, any organ, anytime we talk about an organ in the body, we have and external factors and internal factors. So there are things, especially with the skin, we're going to talk about throughout the month. The skin can get damaged with radiation, sun damage, radiation damage. It can get damaged from, basically just weather. Dehydration, heat, cold. There's lots of stress and strain that these are all proteins and fat, that it's just basic material here. It wears out. If you push on it hard enough, it's going to break. And so the skin is no different there, and it's always constantly exposed to the outside. So like I said, extremes and what we do to it. And then of course our sensation of our bodies is numbed out by the fact that we're always wearing something. We have this pressure, even if it's light, but there's this constant pressing against the skin. So those the awareness fibers, those touch fibers, end up kind of getting overstimulated and wear out. And so there's just something about clothes. Well, actually, there is actually a phenomena that was studied around the turn of the 1900s, turn of the century back then. And it was a whole movement called natural hygiene. But the researchers had actually done some studies on this, and they had found that being naked in the breeze for 20 minutes balanced a whole bunch of physiological processes, balanced your pH of your blood, balanced your blood pressure. There's all kinds of things that happened when the skin was allowed to participate in body awareness in terms of the touch and what's going on. So there really is something about the garden. When you read the Bible and it says they were naked and unashamed, we were designed to be naked. We were designed without having all this stuff hanging on us, without these fibers, rubbing all over, in different parts of the body. And we're going to talk more about how different parts of the body are more absorbent than others. So like the genital area, for example, is 300 times more absorbent than the bottom of the feet. So obviously, if you're talking about, and we talk about protecting the skin or protecting our bodies, we want to stop poisoning our skin. Well, we definitely don't want to be poisoning our skin in those areas because there's so much more absorbent. We'll talk about transdermal absorption. We've got a lot of topics we're going to cover for the month. We also, of course, we have our supplement programs, and that's our second phase of the wellness strategy, which is flood the body with nutrients. We can do some things to flood the body with. Oh, back up! I didn't finish. In the area of stop poisoning ourselves. Anytime we talk about an organ, we have internal factors and external factors. So we talked a little bit about those external factors, but internally, what we eat, our whole digestion can impact the health of our skin. I've already talked some about that when I talked about both the elimination system and the digestive system, so there's some reference to that in those. And you'll probably, if you're just jumping in on the skin because you have skin issues, then you probably want to go back and look at both the digestive system and the elimination system and look through and go through those programs as well, because those are going to be really important, because that's the internal health. If you're healthy on the inside, you're healthy on the outside. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about detoxing and how the skin can have detox reactions and how we can manage those. And we'll have some practices and things that we're going to be doing throughout the month that you can look at wellness habits for the skin. So here's our second part of our wellness strategy. First is stop poisoning ourselves, stop hurting our skin. Second one is flood the skin with nutrients. What kind of nutrients does the skin need? And so we're going to do our supplement regime for the month. And that involves good quality fat in the form of fish oil, for example, and then some essential oil, vitality essential oils, lavender and frankincense. And then for our, there's awareness of the face really gets a lot of exposure. It's also a big part of our communication, very expressive, lots of muscles. In fact, I think they say there's as many muscles in the face as there are on the rest of the body. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but I've heard that. And that means that there's a lot going on in here. We have a lot of crinkles and stuff from muscle, and taking care of our face is very important. Obviously, according to how we look to the world, but then our skin, like I said, in our face gets a lot of exposure. It's exposed to the sun and the wind and the elements because we're not covering up. The rest of us get covered, so that skin is protected. But then it's also the expression. Everything comes out on the face. And so there's good reasons to take care of that. So we're going to use the ART skincare system. We'll talk more about that and how more about the kinds of things that happen and how we can help protect the skin. Antioxidant stuff. I think we'll talk about that even tomorrow. We'll talk about toxicity and exposure. So the skin is, as I was just mentioning, the expression of the outside world, and that gets us to our third category of stress. How do we manage our stress? Stress can come out on the skin and affect, because stress affects our digestion and it kind of cascades and ends up on the skin. But stress itself can actually impact our protein utilization if we decrease our thyroid and all the rest of it, and the skin gets weak, and then we end up with problems with weaker skin. So there's that part. And then there's also there's a lot of emotional elements associated with skin and skin problems. So we also want to have some tools this month to talk about how to be healthy emotionally, and that's part of this the stress associated with the skin. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, so that's an overview of what we're going to be doing this month, and then what kind of things we're looking at with regard to the skin. There's a lot of people who end up having some skin problems, especially if you start doing some detox. Hopefully you'll have a fairly good understanding of what that looks like, how to head it off early, how to catch that early, and then what to do about it. And I'll give you the heads up right now. It's go back to month 1. Make sure you're breathing, drinking your water, taking your sulfurzyme, and taking your Super C. That's our 4 core platform right there. And then like I said, we can add in a little extra here and there. And in this case, we're going to talk about for this month omega Jis and or mind wise if you're vegan and you want to go mind wise, so that that's a good replacement. It's not exactly equivalent, but there's that sacha ichi oil in there. We'll talk a lot more about that. Okay, so skin, largest organ of the body, a lot to work on. I didn't even mention lymph and structure. There's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about with lymph flow and how the lymph is right underneath the skin. So we're going to do a little massage and dry brushing, and so there's a lot we're going to cover, and I'm excited to get started. This is the beginning of the 5th month here, and so here we enter May, and I think we're week 17 if I've got it correct. Anyway, so happy wellness, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. If you miss a few days, okay, we can kind of catch up on the week. If you miss a few weeks, okay, we'll try to catch the month up. If you miss a few months, you better start getting on track, because a lot of things, a lot of damage can be done slipping off the wagon for months at a time. So we really want to try to get back to some kind of a daily practice and a daily wellness. Wellness does happen every day. Happy wellness. We'll see you tomorrow.